and all Indians salute our armed forces as we continue to look at the consequences of Operation Sindoor, an operation in which 24 missile strikes at 9 terror targets in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as well as significantly inside Pakistan's Punjab, have taken place to get at the root of terrorism and signal a shift in India's security doctrine. Now, even as we speak, Jammu and Kashmir, of course, has been in focus, but now other border states are on high alert. We have been in the Kashmir Valley in the past week, but now we're here on the ground in Punjab. We're here in Punjab because there is security alerts all across Punjab. The border city of Amritsar last night saw blackout practices, blackout sessions, which the police said was a mock drill. And across the border, earlier today, blasts, multiple explosions were heard and clouds of smoke were seen in the sky. We can show you those pictures now, if we can. And we saw images of people coming out on the streets, running out on the streets in panic. You can see those pictures there. And flights have been temporarily suspended as panic spreads through Pakistan. Airports have been temporarily closed in Lahore and Sialkot, among others. And as we said, people in Pakistan were running out in the streets of Lahore in panic. We have those pictures too, and you'll see them in just a moment, as clouds of smoke were seen in Lahore and multiple blasts were heard. This has taken place in Lahore just hours after Operation Sindoor, hours after. There's a lot to talk about. There's also been Pakistani shelling at the line of control, in particular in the Poonch district of the Jammu region, where among 13 civilians, 4 children have been killed. The line of control and the international border are inflamed. And India is now preparing defensively and offensively for what might happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, which will be critical. I want to welcome to the program now General VP Malik, our newsmaker today, former army chief who led India to victory in the Kargil War of 1999, a war that I had the privilege and honor of reporting from the front line. General Malik, welcome to the program, sir. Before we get to what's happening across the border in Pakistan, Punjab, where blasts have been heard, I just want your first big take on the import of Operation Sindoor. In particular, as you know, Pakistan, Punjab dominates its army. Pakistan's Punjab dominates its politics. Pakistan's Punjab dominates its wealth resources. So the fact that the Indian military has struck at Munir, which is not even far from Lahore, or Bahawalpur, which is at the other end, the Jaish and the Lashkar bases in both of these areas. What is the significance of this? Let's start there. General Malik.
Hello, Barkha. Thank you for asking me to be on your panel. This time, the strike that we have done, Operation Sindoor, has been unique in many ways and quite different to what action that we had taken earlier during the Uri strike, when we had a surgical strike done from our side, as well as Balakot. And one of the new things that we have done has been to strike the headquarters of both Jaish-e-Mohammed as well as Lashkar-e-Taiba, who have been carrying out all the major activities in not only in J&K, but also in India. And I think that was necessary, because the other camps, they can keep shifting from time to time. But these headquarters, we know that they have been almost permanent. And this is where they have carried out recruitment. And this is where they motivate people and then send them to these ugly mission, the terrorist mission across. So that was necessary. And it is slightly different. It is also sending a message to Pakistan that enough is enough. We can escalate if we want to. And this was one of the escalatory message, if I can use that word, sent across to Pakistan.
I have many questions about what might happen next, how high this may go on the escalatory ladder. But before that, General Malik, I want to turn your attention, from these videos of that were captured by Pakistani citizens that Indian missiles came striking down, to actually the images that we're seeing out of Lahore today. If we can briefly turn our attention to the fact that a few hours ago, earlier today, clouds of smoke were seen in the Lahore skyline. Lahore citizens reported multiple blasts, and there are images. Could we pull that video up also of people running out on the streets in absolute panic? Now we don't precisely know what's happened. That's actually from Poonch. If we could come out of those images, we need to stick with the Lahore images. That's actually those are the images. There you can see the bomb disposal squads coming out on the streets of Lahore, and we have no idea what's happened, and I don't want to, quote anybody in the Pakistan government, because as we know, they resort to fake news. But I'm going to play out a clip for you of Geo TV of Pakistan, where you can see the palpable panic. Take a look at this clip.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज आपको देंगे। लाहौर वॉल्टन रोड पर धमाके की आवाज सुनाई दी गई है, लोग घरों से बाहर निकल आए हैं। इस पर मजीद क्या डिटेल्स हैं जानेंगे अहमद फराज से। अहमद, बताइएगा क्या डिटेल्स हैं?
देखिए, ये वॉल्टन रोड कहलाता है और यहाँ पर पुराना एयरपोर्ट भी था और गोपाल नगर नसीराबाद है ये, और यहाँ पर कुछ धमाकों की आवाजें आई हैं। लोगों को कहना है कि 2 से 3 धमाकों की आवाजें आई हैं। कुछ आवाजों आने के बाद लोग जो थे वो अपने घरों से बाहर निकल आए, और कुछ क्लिप भी हमारे पास आए हैं, वो हम चला रहे हैं। ये आप देख सकते हैं, गाड़ियां खड़ी हैं, लोग घरों से बाहर निकल आए हैं, और रेस्क्यू की फायर फाइटिंग और व्हीकल्स भी इस वक्त मौके पर पहुंच गए हैं। लोगों का ये कहना है कि यके बाद 3 धमाकों की आवाज आई। हमारी मुकामी पुलिस से भी बात हुई है, मुकामी पुलिस भी जा रही है। मुकामी पुलिस का ये कहना है कि यहाँ पर 1-2 दफा थे, लेकिन वहाँ अंदर जाने नहीं दिया जा रहा। लेकिन वहाँ पर अभी तक हलाकत की कोई इतला नहीं है, ना ही कोई जख्मी की इतला है, लेकिन आवाजें जरूर आई हैं।
So we have no idea what's happened, General Malik, but I play that clip to reflect the panic that is ripping through Pakistan after India's military Operation Sindoor. And I want to ask you, J&K, of course, is in scrutiny, but other border states are now under attention. And my question to you is this: do you believe that because India has struck in the heart of Punjab, Pakistan may try to open up another front of conflict in a border state like our Punjab or Rajasthan or Gujarat? Obviously, security is on high alert, and we've had drills through the night in Amritsar. We've had blackout practices through the night in Amritsar, even other cities and towns like Jalandhar and Bhatinda. What should we be concerned about from an Indian perspective, from an Indian national security perspective, on what Pakistan might try and do next?
Barkha, firstly, let's take the blasts that have occurred and the panic that exists in Lahore, which you have just now reported. Now, that kind of a situation is quite understandable after what the strike that we had done in Murid K area, which is not very far from Lahore, I think just about 45 kilometers from Lahore. So that is quite understandable, the panic in the other aspect. I also want to draw your attention is that India is not interested in escalating it. And that statement was given by none other than our foreign secretary during the briefing which he did. He said, our response has been measured, very responsible, and non-escalatory. So India is not interested in escalating it. But I will not rule out this from the Pakistani side, as it is the kind of heavy shelling which is going on along the line of control. It is definitely hurting our civilian population, and from their side, it is a kind of an escalation from their side. Now, I don't believe that Pakistan has the capacity to wage a conventional war. If they try and do something across the international border, then I'm sure the Indian armed forces are already prepared for that kind of a thing. And I believe that Pakistan army does not have the capacity to carry out any conventional war activity for more than 5-6 days or 7 days. And I'm sure they know it. So I expect that whatever they do, they will try and do it along the line of control. There could be a small skirmish here and there, but I don't believe that they would want to cross the border in strength anywhere else. That's my feeling.
General Malik, let's talk a little bit about Murid K. You know, as you described, Murid K, the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, wanted for the Pahalgam terror attack, wanted for the 26/11 terror attacks, among others. It is, I was saying to somebody, it is like going from Delhi to Gurgaon. You know, Murid K is that close to Lahore. And the images of Afra Tafri, the panic that we are seeing in Lahore, we have no idea what it is, but the people are clearly panicked. Their airports have suspended their operations. My question to you is, when you say that Pakistan may try and escalate it, we have to also factor in the personality of Asim Munir, the beleaguered Pakistan Army chief, who may be looking at a new lease of life for himself in this moment of conflict. I think you have said before that he is a more Islamized, a more jihadist general than a professional Pakistani Army chief when you compare them to, you know, prior generals. How do you read? You know, I wouldn't put it past Pakistan to actually foment panic and fissures themselves, to keep this brewing and to be able to manipulate public opinion on their own home turf.
Well, I can't rule that out. But as far as our strike on Murid K was concerned, I can assure you that we had very precise strike in that area. Today, we have weapons and ammunition and rockets which can hit the target at a long distance in a very precise manner. These are precision bombing, that capability that we have today. So if we have said, the government has said that we were not trying to target the civilian areas, I believe to be correct. And I don't believe that we would have targeted or tried to target any of the areas, civilian areas. And it has been
Absolutely.
clarified
No, absolutely, sir. Sir, I'm actually suggesting that Pakistan's government, Pakistan's military could be fomenting these images, could be creating, you know, they're the masters of fake news, they're the masters of propaganda. The ISPR has just had a press conference filled with lies. Their minister went on CNN, and when he was making some wild allegation about Indian jets, the anchor asked him, "How do you know?" And he said, "It's all on social media." I mean, he had no answer. He made a laughing stock of himself on international media. What I'm suggesting is not at all that that we have done anything but target the terror bases. I am saying this panic, these blasts that we see in Lahore, they could be the handiwork of Pakistan's own deep state. We don't know. We need some explanation as to what is happening. We have no idea.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't put it beyond the Pakistan Army's crookery that they indulge in off and on. I quite it is quite possible, and it is quite possible that something from their own side is being they're indulging in that just to prove their own superiority, that they are able to protect their own population. You know, the fact is that their image has been hurt. Pakistan Army image has been hurt. If you recall, there was one person in Bhavalpur when the rocket attack took place. He said, "Ki hamari faujein kahan hai?" So the fact is that their image has been hit, and they might indulge in something of this nature only to be able to rebuild their image. That is quite possible.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to make. That ये उन्होंने खुद ही किया होगा to try and manipulate public opinion at a time when they're accused by their own people of being weak or of being missing. Now, General Malik, I want to turn our attention back to Operation Sindoor and what might happen next. The images you see on your screen, these are videos that have been released by the Indian Army, images of how terror bases, very precise missile attacks, tri-service operation for the first time since 1971. Uh, what do you think happens now? You know, we know the details: 24 missile strikes, 9 terror bases, Lashkar and Jaish headquarters. Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, the heads of these terror outfits, probably taken into protection earlier by the Pakistan military. Pakistan is currently responding by shelling massively at the line of control, especially in the Poonch region, where, and this is obviously deliberate by them, where the population is Hindu. And I'm sure this is a factor for them as well. My question to you is, if we bring up some of the terrible images we've seen at the Poonch shelling, line of control, 4 children among the 13 civilians who've been killed, what is your sense? What might happen next? How will the escalatory ladder be calibrated now?
Let me first mention to you the factors which are involved in their future action, Pakistan Army's future action. Number one, there is absolutely no doubt that the image of the Pakistan Army has been hurt. Although we have not targeted any of the Pakistani Army establishments or camps, but by taking on these terrorist camps and they are not being able to defend them and not being able to protect them, there is absolutely no doubt that their public image has been hit. Number two, the Indus Water Treaty. This is the first time we have held that in abeyance. And a lot of people, including many strategists, have been saying that this Indus River is absolutely there. It's one of the red lines, so to say. And if we cross that, then they will hit back. And even the Prime Minister has been making that statement, and other ministers have also been saying that our effort to stop water into the Indus River and the other 2 rivers would mean a state of war. The third aspect that we have to keep in mention, I believe that the Pakistani Prime Minister has already thrown the ball into the court of General Munir, when he said that I have told the armed forces to carry out action whatever they think fit. So now, under these circumstances, I believe that Pakistan Army will have to do something. They have already started it along the line of control, in which unfortunately we have lost some civilian lives in Poonch particularly, including some children. But this can escalate more in the area of Jammu and Kashmir, not only along the line of control, but also along the international boundary which is there between Jammu and in Kathua area. We call it international boundary. So some kind of escalation can be expected. Some kind of skirmishes along the line of control can also be expected, and also some raids also can be expected. The aerial raids also can be expected, but I don't think they would try to go deep into it, because that will again require and will call for strong retaliation from our side.
Am I interpreting you correctly in your reading that the theater of conflict, according to you, will remain Jammu and Kashmir? That Pakistan, bruised by the attack on Murid ke Lashkar headquarters or Bahawalpur Jaish headquarters, will not try, in your understanding, or will not dare to try opening up conflict on another front, on another border, let's say with Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat. You believe that whatever their so-called response will be to Operation Sindoor, will be confined to the IB and the LOC in J&K.
Yes, that is right. More likely that way. Although I would not rule out totally small arms fire here and there, even along the international border, but much less likely. I don't think they would try anything major along the international border.
So, General Malik, let's talk a little bit about what happens next.
Just one second.
Yeah.
But having said that,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that we need not be alert. We need not be alert. We have to remain alert, and we have to be prepared to take our own action that we have in our contingency plans.
Yes. So your reading is that after Operation Sindoor, you believe that whatever Pakistan has to do will be confined to the LOC or the international border in Jammu and Kashmir, and we're seeing that manifestation already with heavy shelling, artillery shelling, by the way, returning to the LOC and to the IB for the first time, I think, since 2003, when the ceasefire was drawn up. So we've seen arty fire back. My question to you is, do you then believe that India, having done what it needed to, shown our capacity, shown our strategic resolve, Pakistan doesn't have too many options because there are terror bases to hit inside Pakistan. There are no bases that Pakistan can justify hitting in India.
While there are no terror bases in India, because we don't indulge in terrorism, but
Exactly.
But there are civilian targets which they can hit. You know, our civilian assets, our bridges, our dams. These are vulnerable targets from the aerial attacks. So that kind of an activity in J&K also should not be ruled out. And they are vulnerable, and even if we have some ground protection, but the aerial strikes on them cannot be ruled out, and we have to be quite active in the defense, air defense of those targets.
But General Malik, if there were to be a Pakistani aerial attack on a bridge, let's say near the international border in the Jammu region, or a dam that is linked to the Indus Water project, the treaty now suspended, would that not be a high escalation by Pakistan, leading India then to respond again? It will not end if they target a bridge or a dam.
Most certainly. Most certainly, that would be an escalation from their side, and it will require a slightly higher escalation from our side. You know, I must explain to you, with the kind of forces that we have, I believe that we have escalation dominance on them, and they should know it. And therefore, it is possible for this to carry out escalation control because we have that dominance. Now, we have made it very clear on the ground that we do not want to do anything more. We have made it very clear diplomatically and very strongly so that we are not interested in further escalation. But if they want to carry out any escalatory, they want to climb up on the escalatory ladder, we will also climb that up. And ultimately, because of our superior power, and ultimately because of the kind of dominance that we have, escalation dominance that we have, I think they will have to give it up sooner or later.
So you do not see this, expanding either into new theaters of conflict or into an extended, limited war. You do not believe Pakistan has that capacity.
Yes, I do not believe that Pakistan has the capacity to prolong either a limited war or other than what they are doing already. Incidentally, proxy war is already there. So they can be slightly more intense, but they don't have the capacity to have a protracted limited war, and definitely not a conventional war.
Now, their asymmetric warfare has always used terrorism. And therefore, one of the dangers for India is a possibility of another terror attack. But I would say that Pakistan would not do that right now because the world is watching it and they can't own a terror attack. They need to do something that they can own so they have a face-saving exit from this situation where, Munir, who's already beleaguered, gets a face saver. I want you to talk a little bit about Asim Munir, and you have studied, you have fought the Pakistan army, famously defeating them in Kargil. What is your reading of Asim Munir? What is your reading of him?
He's a different kind of general than we had seen generals in the past, including Pervez Musharraf. Now, firstly, he is, as I mentioned earlier also, a more radicalized Islamist than anyone else that I have seen. That is one aspect. Secondly, he is a very strong believer in two-nation theory and keeps stating that Hindus and Muslims are two different societies, nothing to do with each other, and Hindus remain Kafirs as far as he is concerned. So, with that kind of mindset, with the kind of position that he has got into with that chair, wanting an extension, formal extension, if I can use that word, because extension he can do it himself, but formal extension from the political authority. And as you mentioned quite rightly, having got himself beleaguered within Pakistan, I would not rule out an escalatory ladder climbing by him. And that is why again and again I am saying that we have to remain prepared for that. And we have to remain alert on that. But another factor which is not in his favor, I believe, is that they do not have the kind of coordination among the three services that we have in India. I'm talking of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. And during Kargil war also, it was quite noticeable that neither the Air Force nor the Navy, Pakistani Navy, were willing to follow General Pervez Musharraf's line. And that is one other aspect which is not in his favor. But then I would call him an unpredictable person. And despite all these handicaps, in terms of power handicaps with us, he might still indulge in something or the other only to make sure that his image is not adversely affected.
Well, General Malik, that was going to be my question, that how do you war game an adversary that is not rational? Somebody said to me yesterday that you cannot impose India's rationality on a dysfunctional state like Pakistan. And as you said, Asim Munir is more radicalized, more Islamized than even previous generals, that he's even crazier in a way than Musharraf. Musharraf was the architect of Kargil. Musharraf had some very crazy ideas, very misplaced adventurism, which he had to pay the price for. But Munir, as you yourself said, is even further down the road than Musharraf. How do we factor that in, that Munir could be an irrational entity, a jihadist general as he's been called, and therefore may not play by conventional logic?
Well, that kind of a general is also not very popular in his own army. We have to remember that. And they can create problems within the army. And after all, people are quite sort of Pakistan army, everybody is not a fool. So although we do have to factor in his irrationality part, but I don't think he will go to the extent of harming the complete Pakistan army and the nation. I think he will not be advised to do that also.
What do you make of their nuclear blackmail? If you saw before Operation Sindoor, before India's missile strikes, day after day, you would have Pakistan's ministers, ambassadors talk about, quote unquote, the full spectrum, including the nuclear option. And the design seems quite clear. The design is to panic the Western world into thinking that there's going to be a nuclear conflict, and let's ask both countries to, quote unquote, restrain themselves. So this is a kind of game that Pakistan has played very long. India has called out that nuclear bluff repeatedly, including this time, by showing that response below the nuclear threshold is possible. But how do you read these brazen nuclear threats that emerge from Pakistan in the last few days?
Barkha, it is partly due to total ignorance, illiteracy as far as nuclear weapons are concerned. It is partly due to that, and they have always been doing it. It is also intentional sometimes because they do not want us to take any major step, any major violent step from our side. And as soon as some tension takes place, by speaking about the nuclear weapons in international forums, everybody then starts, the whole international community wants to stop us. Now, we may have very good friends in the international arena, but the fact is that because of this nuclear talk by the Pakistani leaders, so they will all advise you that, look, let's stop it and let's not take it any further. And, that is another way of escalation control by the international community, incidentally. So this loose talk, unfortunately, will carry on because between the kind of proxy war that they have been waging and the nuclear war, there is no capability with them for a conventional war or even a long, protracted, limited war. So I have a feeling that this kind of loose talk on the nuclear weapons perhaps will carry on.
I want to talk, and I totally take your point that this loose talk is actually aimed at Western capitals so that they say, "Arey, inko dialogue table pe bithao," and so on, even though they're not fans of Pakistan. My question to you now is about the geopolitics, China factor, how the world is reacting, and while India has a very deep relationships with the United States, unfortunately, the couple of comments we've seen from the American president have been quite vague. And he had a new response in the last few hours where he spoke about how he hopes that this ends here. And he called it tit for tat, almost as if he thought that India has done what they wanted to. Pakistan has done some shelling on the line of control. Now let it end. I'm just going to play out this clip of Donald Trump. Take a look.
The war in India and Pakistan, what's your position?
Oh, it's so terrible. My position is I get along with both. I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop. And hopefully they can stop now. They've gone tit for tat, so hopefully they can stop now. But I know both. We get along with both countries very well, good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
The war in India and Pakistan, what's your position?
So, General Malik, I mean, Trump just makes us laugh because that's his personality type. But more seriously, in diplomacy, what is said is less important than what happens behind the scenes. And behind the scenes, we know that, for example, Turkey has sent its naval warship to dock in Karachi. We know that China has rhetorically supported Pakistan. Now, the Indian military has long been preparing for a worst case scenario of a two-front or a 2.5-front conflict, and will remain on guard and will remain prepared for that worst case scenario. But if you were to look at the geopolitics and how they stack up right now, we've seen these very cursory set piece statements from world leaders urging restraint. In the same week that the Americans are bombing Houthis, Israel is doing what it wants to. It reeks actually of hypocrisy. But if you were to look at the geopolitics, how do you read the situation?
First, let me speak about China. China is wanting to become a superpower, and therefore, I believe that it also feels itself a little more responsible than it was earlier days. And I don't believe that they would want to open another front with us. They will give support in terms of weapons. They will give support in terms of diplomatic activity in United Nations and elsewhere. They will give them support as far as intelligence is concerned. And so should we expect from Turkey and Malaysia, although they have limited resources. So these three countries, we can expect them to give them, but I don't think China would want to open a front with us at this stage. It is not in their interest and to open another front, because it will hurt their economy also. And when at a time when they are wanting to have some rapprochement with India, I don't think they would want to have a setback on that. Now the other countries, as far as they are concerned, look, every country looks for its own interest, and no country is prepared to get involved in this kind of except to create some kind of a ceasefire or some kind of reconciliation between these two. The other aspect is that as it is, the international community is quite busy with what is happening in Europe, in Ukraine-Russia war, and in West Asia, the war between the Palestinians and the Israelis. As it is, they are quite involved. And then, of course, the third one is the tough war, which has been started by none other than President Donald Trump. So under these circumstances, they will all preach us. They will all try to say that don't do anything more, and we can try and resolve your problems. But then I don't think they would be really seriously concerned with whatever is happening between India and Pakistan. And India has to do what it is in its own interest. And I believe that we should continue to do that, notwithstanding the kind of noises, right or wrong, being made by, whether they are Americans. In fact, I've just been thinking about it, that even during Kargil war, President Clinton was, in fact, more on our side than on Pakistan's side. And he did some arm twisting of Pakistan Prime Minister when the Prime Minister of Pakistan went to Washington, D.C. on 4th of July, 1999. Yes. And so it's a different matter, but I don't think President Trump would be really trying to do, or would try to do any arm twisting, either of India or of Pakistan under the present circumstances.
Absolutely. I do remember that so well, because I think Tiger Hill had just been taken back. Pakistan was on the back foot. Sharif went running to Washington, and Clinton then read him the Riot Act. And here it is worth remembering FM Jaishankar's words: India wants partners, not preachers. I want to turn your attention, sir, back to the line of control. While civilians, of course, have 13 civilians, among them 4 children, have lost their lives in Pakistan shelling, we also have the army and the country offering tributes to Lance Nayak Dinesh Kumar. He has lost his life, made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. So want to acknowledge that and offer him, his family, our tributes. General Malik, talk a little bit about what you see happening at the line of control. And obviously India is going to retaliate to what Pakistan is trying to do there. The Lieutenant Governor has now given orders for villages to be evacuated, for civilians to be pulled back from the forward post, from the front lines. How do you see the situation developing there? I mean, the ceasefire seems effectively over. Now the mortar fire is back.
Yeah, that is right. Ceasefire is almost over, or rather, it is over. So therefore, as this kind of tension is likely to continue for quite some time, it is in our interest to ensure all the protective measures that we can take as far as the civilian population is concerned along the line of control. And we should try and help them to get into shelters which are close by to their homes, and also try and protect them in whatever way we can. That is perhaps our first and very important duty. As far as the army is concerned, it will retaliate, and it has the capacity to retaliate. And therefore, we have to again not only protect ourselves, be it defensive or on the defensive side, but we should also be prepared to give an escalatory response to the other side to make them shut up. So that kind of preparation probably is already going on.
General Malik, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening at the IB. If you would remember, BSF Jawan of India, he crossed over inadvertently, and Pakistan then didn't hand him back. And then at the Rajasthan border, we took custody of one of the Pakistan Rangers. So this sort of tension will remain. We're now getting a news update that the BSF has neutralized a Pakistani intruder. I'm in Punjab's Firozpur sector, which is, of course, very close to the international border. So I think we are probably going to see these sort of skirmishes, if that's the correct word, while the dominant theater of conflict remains the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. Perhaps there is going to be some heightened tension in other border states. What do you make of this news that is coming in? The BSF neutralizing a Pakistani intruder. This is what officials are saying in the Firozpur sector. I'm just reading this out on the night of May 7th, 8th.
Look, there is no doubt there's a lot of tension along the international border. And therefore, we have to be careful, and we have to take all the protective measures that we can take. There is no question of any soldier or a BSF Jawan loitering around without adequate security protection. So, yes, this can take place under these circumstances, but then they will probably, because of the tension, it will take longer time than in the past to exchange such people. But if we keep reminding each other, one thing can be certain, that they won't try and knock them off totally, because they also know that we have their assets if they have one or two of our assets with them. And therefore, I suppose that we have to keep reminding our DGMO at that level, our BSF level, we have to keep reminding them that, look, so and so is on your side. If you return him, we will return so and so. There are many people, who inadvertently also cross over on the international border. So this kind of a thing is happening, has been happening earlier also, but we have to be patient, particularly at a time when there is so much of tension along the international border.
Right. We're now getting some more details. I want to just read this out to you. I'm just actually going to take this computer in front of me. Sir, the images on your screen are, ANI has just released these images of a projectile. Obviously, this is from Pakistan firing, landing in a border village near Jammu. This takes me back to my days as a young reporter when the LOC and IB used to see mortar fire every day. So I think we are going to see these kind of images more and more. I also want to read out to you, Rajnath Singh has briefed an all-party meeting, sir, the defense minister, and he has said that 100 terrorists were killed in Operation Sindoor, and the count is still ongoing. Now, importantly, this is very important, sir, the government also mentioned that Operation Sindoor is still underway, making it possible to provide an exact number. Additionally, the government said that India will not take any escalatory action further than this until Pakistan carries out any provocative action. The all-party meeting is on. This is the defense minister briefing the all-party meeting. This is coming from sources being reported now. Those are the images of the all-party meeting. Now, two important things here. Over 100 terrorists killed. The count is still all going, and Operation Sindoor is still underway, meaning that while we're not climbing up the escalatory ladder, this is an ongoing fluid situation. And adding, the government said India will not take any further action on its part up the escalatory ladder unless Pakistan carries out any provocative action. I want you to comment on these developments that are just unfolding, sir, right now.
Firstly, as far as the number of casualties on the other side is concerned, now this is just an assessment which somebody must have given it to the Raksha Mantri, and it's a very good thing that he is addressing all parties' representatives. Under the present circumstances, it is important for all political parties to support the government fully. Now, as far as your other part is going, Operation Sindoor is going on. Look at the kind of firing that is taking place along the line of control. That is also part of Operation Sindoor. So if we have to respond to what Pakistanis are doing along the line of control or international border, or respond to anything else that they may do, apparently it will be Operation Sindoor will continue to. It will be extended.
Right. Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sir, please carry on, sir. I just missed the last line. If you could repeat it, please.
Oh, as I said, that Operation Sindoor cannot be stopped at the moment because already that activity along the line of control is going on from the Pakistani side, and we have to respond to that, and we have to be prepared for anything else they may do anywhere else. So Operation Sindoor is continuing, which is the right thing to say.
What does that mean, though, sir? Because at one hand, if we say that there's going to be no further action from us unless Pakistan provokes, but the operation is ongoing. How do we read that statement? Does it mean that it will take time to assess the extent of damage, how many terrorists killed? Details will take time, and the operation is not declared over because we don't know how Pakistan may react? Or does it mean that there could still be details of this operation that are underway that have not yet been revealed?
No, look, firstly, what the activity along the line of control. If Pakistan is indulging in artillery shelling and hitting our civilian targets, apparently we have to retaliate on that. We have to respond to that. So along the line of control, it is quite obvious that Operation Sindoor is continuing. Now, elsewhere else, we do not want to start anything else. We do not. We have made it very clear that we are not interested in escalating. But if they do something, we have to remain prepared for it and to retaliate then under those circumstances. So that is what is meant by his statement that Operation Sindoor is continuing. It has not stopped.
Right. And these images, now we're seeing projectile debris. This, I'm told, is a Punjab border village. This is being reported on ANI. Are we sure that it is Punjab? I thought it was Jammu, so we should clarify that. I'd be surprised. Oh, I'm told that ANI is saying it's Punjab. Not very sure of this personally, sir, but this is what ANI is reporting. Images like these, do they surprise you?
Look, unfortunately, there are so many fake images which appear on the TV channels these days. And therefore, I'm not prepared to, I do not want to comment on any of these things.
Fair, sir, because I have not verified this myself. So I think we can come out of this.
I do not want to indulge in rumor mongering or speculating because there is so much of fakery which is going on the TV channels and in the social media these days.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally, and I have not verified that myself. My sense would be that image would typically have been from the IB or the LOC in J&K and not Punjab, but we'll double check that. I want to end, sir, by images that filled my heart with pride, and I'm sure they filled your heart with pride. Of course, this entire operation, it fills us with pride as Indians, and a big applause to the armed forces, our country's armed forces. But the way the briefing was held, the Foreign Secretary, of course, Vikram Misri, was there, but he was flanked by these two women officers, Colonel Sufia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, and it really filled one's heart with pride. I want to play out for you what Sophia Qureshi's mother said, and then I want your thoughts on this beautiful image. Take a look.
जो उन्होंने ये खेल खेला था उसका बदला लिया और हमारी माँ बहनों का जो सिंदूर था उसका हमने मुकाबला कर लिया, बदला ले लिया और इसी तरह से आगे और लेते रहे। वो बचपन में थे, मेरी दोनों बेटियां ट्विंस हैं, एक थोड़ी छोटी बेटी है मेरी, एक ये बड़ी है। पढ़ाई लिखाई से जब वो पढ़ती थी तो उसको बहुत शौक होता था हर चीज़ को कि ये भाई बहुत कोई फायरिंग कर रहा है बच्चों के खेल का, दीवार वाल का, तो मैं भी ऐसे करूँगी, मैं ऐसे मारूंगी। दोनों बहनों में गिर जाती थी, छुप जाती थी, लो मार दिया मैंने, कोई इस तरह से करते थे। तो उसको बहुत शौक था कि मेरे पापा, मेरे दादा सब लोग हैं आर्मी में तो हम रहेंगे। उनकी दादी भी कहानी सुनाती थी अपनी, तो बोलती मैं बड़ी होंगी तो मैं भी आर्मी में जाऊँगी। कि जो उन्होंने ये खेल खेला था उसका बदला लिया और हमारी माँ बहनों का जो सिंदूर था उसका।
So I don't know if you could hear that, but it's a mother saying कि उन्होंने बदला लिया and उनके सब लोग, and I've interviewed Colonel Sophia. Actually, I've had the pleasure of meeting her in the past, and she spoke about how 3 generations of her family are from the forge, and so this image, it's really quite beautiful. I want you to talk about this.
Look, firstly, the name of Operation Sindoor may be symbolic, but as far as these 2 lady officers appearing and giving their briefing, I would not consider that to be symbolic. They are as good soldiers as anybody else, and that is the duty that they have performed, and they have performed it very well. So I'm not trying to, I would not like to congratulate them for being women, but I would like to congratulate them for being very good soldiers, and they have done their duty extremely well, and I'm very proud of them.
Absolutely. There's no tokenism here, and I'm glad you made that point. They're standing there on the balbuta, as they say, of their own accomplishment, but it is very, very powerful messaging.
Well, yes, any good soldier who does his duty, I'm sure that soldier sends a good message.
Absolutely. So I want to end by returning to Operation Sindoor and Rajnath Singh's statement to the all-party meeting. I think all calculations might now be based on how Pakistan chooses to react. And at what point do you think that India will also or might be forced to step up on the escalatory ladder? What do you see happening in the next 24 to 36 hours?
No, we have to be prepared in every sense. Okay, there are no halfway measures here. We have to be We have to be prepared for our defensive operations as well as for offensive operations. So the preparations, I'm sure, are already going on, and people are in their position. They have been briefed what is to be done, and so there is no halfway measure in these aspects. For some time, at least, we have to carry on till there is some kind of an understanding between the 2 countries that, okay, enough is enough. We would not indulge in this anymore. We have sent a message. We have to wait if Pakistan accepts that message.
General Malik, former Army Chief, who led India to victory in the Kargil war. Thank you so much. I always learn so much from you. I also want to take this moment to offer my salutations to the armed forces. You have been such a respected, brave, and courageous Army Chief, and this is just a moment for all of us to bow our head in admiration and in respect to all of you, and to thank you for what you do in the service of the nation. Thank you, General Malik. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you, Barkha. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.